Most people spend 40 years building wealth and then destroy it in the first 5 years of retirement. Not because the market crashed, not because of bad luck, because they held on to the wrong things for too long. I'm James Harrington. I've been managing money, building businesses, and investing through recessions for over 4 decades. And I'm going to tell you something your financial advisor is too polished and too afraid of losing your business to say out loud. If you're 5 to 10 years away from retirement and you still own these 5 things, you are sitting on a financial time bomb. I'm talking about mistakes that can cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars, steal your sleep, and hand you a retirement that looks nothing like what you planned. This isn't theory. This is what I do with my own money. This is what I've told every serious person who has ever asked me about retirement planning. Let's get into it. The shift nobody prepares you for retirement is the single most important financial transition of your life. You are moving from accumulation mode, where you build wealth, to preservation mode, where one major loss can be unrecoverable. The problem? Most people keep investing like they're still 35. They hold assets that were smart at 35 but are dangerous at 65. I've watched this destroy retirement dreams over and over again. Today, I'm going to make sure it doesn't happen to you. Here are the 5 things you must sell before you retire. What they are, why they're dangerous, when to sell them, and what to replace them with. Number 1. Individual tech stocks. This one surprises people. But if you're within 10 years of retirement and you're still holding individual tech stocks, Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, Tesla, it doesn't matter. You are gambling with your future. And I mean that literally. Here's what people refuse to accept. Tech stocks are brutally volatile. When I was 40, I could ride out a 40% drop in Amazon. I had income coming in. I had time to wait for the recovery. I could buy more on the way down. At 65, drawing from that same portfolio to pay your bills, you don't get that luxury. A 40% drop in the first 2 years of retirement is called sequence of returns risk, and it can permanently destroy your retirement plan. I watched this happen in real time. People retired in 1999 loaded up with Cisco, Intel, and Oracle. Great companies, all of them. Those stocks fell 70%, 80%, some even more. People who thought they were set for life were back at work by 2002. Same story in 2008. Same story in 2022. So here's exactly what I do. Starting 10 years before I plan to retire, I sell 10% to 20% of my individual tech holdings every single year. Systematically, not emotionally. I take those profits and move them into dividend-paying stocks, bonds, and diversified ETFs. By retirement day, I have 0 individual tech stocks. 0. What do I replace them with? Broad-based index funds. S&P 500 ETFs. Technology sector ETFs that give you exposure across 50 to 100 companies instead of betting everything on 5 names. Concentration kills in retirement. Diversification protects you. Sell those individual tech stocks. Take your profits. Diversify. Sleep better at night. Number 2. Your oversized primary residence. This one makes people emotional. I don't care. You need to hear it. If you're heading into retirement in a house that's too large, too expensive to maintain, or sitting on massive equity that's doing nothing for you, sell it. Here's the reality most people won't face. A $1.5 million home with no mortgage is not an asset in retirement. It's a liability wearing a disguise. That house generates 0 income. 0. Meanwhile, you're paying $15,000 a year in property taxes, $8,000 in insurance, $5,000 in maintenance, $3,000 in utilities. You're bleeding $30,000 to $40,000 a year to live in a house with 4 bedrooms your kids left 20 years ago. Now flip the math. Sell that $1.5 million house, buy a $900,000 condo. You just freed $600,000 in equity. At 5% returns, that's $30,000 a year in income, enough to completely offset your housing costs. You didn't just downsize, you replaced a liability with an income stream. People get attached to their homes. I understand that. You raised your family there. The memories are real. But memories don't pay your bills. Memories don't protect you from running out of money. About 5 years before retirement, I evaluate my living situation with brutal honesty. Do I need this space? Am I using these rooms? Can I downsize and free up equity? Then I make a business decision, not an emotional one. Downsize strategically, liberate that equity, put it to work generating income. Your retirement self will thank you while you're collecting dividends instead of writing checks to the tax collector and the repairman. Number 3. High-risk growth investments. Let me be completely direct. Speculative growth stocks, cryptocurrency, penny stocks, biotech moonshots, they have no place in a retirement portfolio. If you're holding them as you approach retirement, sell them now, not next year, not when they recover. Now. Here's the math that destroys people and almost nobody explains it clearly. If you lose 50% of your portfolio, you need a 100% gain just to get back to even. Most retirees never recover from a major loss because they're drawing money out of that portfolio at the same time. Losses compound downward while you're withdrawing. It's called reverse dollar cost averaging, and it's a retirement killer. Real example, you retire with $1 million. You're pulling out $40,000 a year. The market drops 40% in year 1. Now you have $600,000, but you still need that $40,000, so you're withdrawing nearly 7% of a damaged portfolio. Even when the market recovers, you've permanently impaired your financial position. Starting about 7 to 10 years before I dial back my work, I eliminate anything that could lose more than 30% in a single year. Speculative growth stocks, gone. Small caps with no earnings, gone. Crypto beyond 1% or 2%, gone. I don't care what the upside potential is. In retirement, your job isn't to hit home runs. Your job is to not strike out. What do I replace them with? Income, dividend-paying blue-chip stocks, investment-grade bonds, REITs with consistent distributions, preferred shares. My goal in retirement is to generate 4% to 5% income from my portfolio without touching the principal. Warren Buffett said it best. Rule number 1, don't lose money. Rule number 2, don't forget rule number 1. Right now, make a spreadsheet. List every investment you own. Categorize them. Low-risk income, moderate growth, high-risk speculation. If more than 10% of your portfolio is in that speculative category and you're within 10 years of retirement, set a selling schedule. 20% per quarter, 10% per month. Whatever works. Redeploy into quality dividend payers and bonds. I have never met a retiree who regretted reducing their risk. I've met plenty who regretted not doing it sooner. Number 4. Excess vehicles and expensive toys. Now let's talk about something most financial advisors won't touch because they're too polite about it. Your cars, your boat, your RV, your motorcycle, your jet skis. If you're heading into retirement, it's time to get ruthless about what you actually need versus what's just sitting there depreciating and costing you money. Every dollar tied up in a depreciating asset is a dollar not generating income for your retirement. That is unacceptable. You buy a $70,000 luxury SUV, drive it off the lot, and you've lost $10,000 in value instantly. By year 3, it's worth $45,000. That's $25,000 in depreciation, plus insurance, maintenance, and registration. You just burned through $35,000 to drive a fancy car. Now, multiply that across 2 vehicles, a boat in the driveway, and an RV you use twice a year. Here's what I've learned. People always think they'll use things more in retirement. They buy the RV to travel the country. They keep the boat to finally have time to fish. And then the reality hits. The RV trip is exhausting. The boat maintenance is a nightmare. These things sit depreciating while costing thousands in storage and insurance every year. I had a friend who retired with a $150,000 motorhome. Used it once, hated it, stored it for 3 years at $400 a month. When he finally sold it, he got $95,000. Between depreciation and storage, he lost over $70,000 for one vacation. What should he have done? Sold it before retirement, invested that $150,000 at 6%, and used the $9,000 a year in returns to rent an RV whenever he wanted to travel. Same experience. No headache. Way ahead financially. Here's my strategy. 3 to 5 years before retirement, inventory every vehicle and toy you own and ask one question. Am I actually using this right now? Not, do I love it? Not, maybe I'll use it more when I retire. Am I using it right now? If you're a couple heading into retirement with 2 cars worth $80,000 combined, do you need $80,000 in depreciating vehicles? Sell both. Buy one reliable 3-year-old vehicle for $35,000, let someone else eat the depreciation, and invest that $45,000 difference. That's $2,250 a year in additional income at 5%. Plus, you just cut your insurance costs in half. Sell the toys you barely use. Every $25,000 boat is $1,250 a year in retirement income. Every $15,000 motorcycle is $750 a year. It adds up fast. Love doesn't pay your bills. Make the business decision. Number 5. Illiquid investments and limited partnerships. This is the one that catches people completely off guard. And it's the most dangerous one on this list. I'm talking about limited partnerships, private equity deals, real estate syndications, small business stakes, anything where you cannot sell it and receive cash within 1 week. If you're heading into retirement with significant wealth locked up in illiquid assets, you are setting yourself up for a potential crisis. Here's why liquidity is everything in retirement. When you're working, you can afford to have money tied up in a commercial real estate partnership for 7 years. If something unexpected happens, your salary handles it. But in retirement, your portfolio is all you have. When that money is locked up, you are forced into bad decisions. Selling good assets at the worst time, taking on debt, or going without things you genuinely need. Real example. I knew an investor who retired with 30% of his net worth in a real estate limited partnership, paying 7% to 8% annually. Looked like a smart deal. 2 years into retirement, his wife needed surgery. $85,000 not covered by insurance. His money was locked up for 4 more years. He had to sell dividend-paying stocks in a down market, taking losses just to raise the cash. If that money had been liquid, the emergency would have been a minor inconvenience instead of a portfolio-damaging event. Here's my approach. Starting 10 years before retirement, I stopped making any new commitments to illiquid deals. I don't care how good the opportunity looks. No new illiquid investments, period. Then I work on exit strategies for the positions I already hold. Some limited partnerships allow you to sell your stake to other partners or on secondary markets. You might take a discount, but liquidity is worth it. Some private equity funds have periodic redemption windows. Take them. Real estate partnerships sometimes allow buyouts. Explore them. My goal, by the time I retire, at least 90% of my portfolio is in assets I can sell within a week. Publicly traded stocks, bonds, ETFs, mutual funds. Maybe 10% stays in something less liquid if the returns are compelling, and I'm certain I won't need that money. But that's the hard ceiling. Yes, illiquid investments often pay a premium. That extra 2% or 3% is real, but it doesn't matter if you can't access your capital when you need it. I'd rather earn 6% with full liquidity than 8% with my money locked away for 5 years. Action plan. Right now. List every investment you own that you could not convert to cash within 1 week. Add up what percentage of your total portfolio that represents. If it's more than 10% and you're within 10 years of retirement, you need an exit strategy today. Research your options. Talk to the fund managers. Explore secondary markets. And stop putting new money into anything illiquid. In retirement, liquidity is security. And security is everything. The bottom line. Here's the recap, because every single one of these could make or break your retirement. 1. Individual tech stocks. Too volatile, too concentrated. Sell systematically over 5 to 10 years. Move into diversified funds. 2. Your oversized primary residence. Equity sitting idle while costs drain you. Downsize, free the capital, generate income. 3. High-risk growth investments. Speculative stocks, crypto, penny stocks. No place in a retirement portfolio. Move into income-generating assets. 4. Excess vehicles and expensive toys. Depreciating assets don't generate income. Sell what you don't truly need. Invest the proceeds. 5. Illiquid investments and limited partnerships. You need access to your money in retirement. Exit these positions before you stop working. Retirement is not a participation trophy. It is the result of decades of disciplined, deliberate decisions. These aren't suggestions. They are requirements if you want a retirement where you sleep soundly and don't run out of money. The time to make these moves is now, not the year before you retire. Start early. Be systematic. Be honest about what you need versus what you're holding out of emotion or ego. I've given you the same roadmap I follow with my own money. Now go make the hard decisions. Your future self is counting on you. If this opened your eyes, subscribe for more unfiltered financial advice. No sugarcoating, just what actually works. Drop a comment below. Which of these 5 surprised you most? I read every single one.